You're welcome back to Network Africa. An Egyptian official has confirmed that the families of 3 Mexican tourists mistakenly killed in Egypt in September last year when military helicopters fired on them will be paid $140,000 each. However, the official and the chairman of Egypt's Tourism Federation clarified that the payments were not an admission of guilt by the government of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, but rather an attempt to revive Egypt's flagging tourism industry. The attack was one of the deadliest on foreign tourists in Egypt in years. 3 tourists were among 18 people having a picnic in the Western Desert. Officials said the party had been mistaken for Islamist militants. Egyptian officials did not publicly apologize for the killings. Instead, they faulted the company that organized the tour for bringing the party to an area known for smuggling and insurgent activity without getting security clearance. The VOA's Edward Uranian joins us now to make sense of this development. Edward, thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
My pleasure, Amarachi.
How difficult is it for the Egyptian government to actually apologize to the families? I mean, this was clearly manslaughter, I think.
Well, I think governments in general don't like admitting guilt. I'm not sure whether guilt should have been shared in this particular situation, having reported on it at the time. The people clearly should not have been there. Partial blame should probably go to the tourists for going there in the first place, to the tour agency who brought them there, and to the government, obviously, and the military for killing them. So blame should probably be shared. But of course, in a court of law, things are decided otherwise. And as I said, I think in the Middle East, governments are reluctant to admit guilt, and that's probably not just a Middle Eastern phenomenon.
Now, the government is only compensating 3 families, but there were 8 families involved in this incident. Why are only 3 families being paid compensation?
Yes, it's not the government that's actually compensating. It's the tourism syndicate, which would clearly like to get tourists to come back to Egypt. It's in their interest to resolve this issue. The government apparently has not resolved it. Why only 3? Well, I guess probably the other families would like more compensation. They think that's not a fair offer, and perhaps they're hoping to take it to court. I don't know if they would get satisfaction from a court, but probably they don't think they're getting fair compensation.
And if the government says that these payments are not an attempt to revive the Egyptian economy, but the question is, if the government is not guilty, then why does it feel the need to pay some compensation to those that it has wronged, that it has allegedly wronged?
Yes. Well, again, it's not, the money is not coming from the government. The money is coming from a private organization, which is the Union of Tourism Operators in Egypt. They would like to see this matter resolved. The government, well, I mean, clearly when you admit guilt, you open yourself up to other lawsuits. I think that's probably one of the reasons why governments don't like to admit guilt. I mean, we've seen many plane accidents where countries don't want to admit guilt because they don't want to pay all those families the money that would be involved. So even if you are guilty, and I don't even mean in the case of Egypt, but in other governments' cases, you don't want to admit guilt as a strategy because then you'd be opening yourself up to liabilities which are extraordinary.
Edward, thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
My pleasure.
And as we end the program, a renowned coffee-making shop has surfaced in South Africa's capital, Johannesburg. Crowds have been trickling in despite the dip in the country's economy. However, medical experts warn of an emerging health crisis due to unhealthy eating, as more international fast food chains are opening up in the city.
A fortnight after the first Starbucks in South Africa opened in the trendy Johannesburg district, queues still snaked onto the pavement, a sign of the craving for international brands despite an economic slowdown. South African companies Taste Holdings and Grand Parade Investments are betting that demand for relative luxuries such as coffee to go and donuts from international chains will endure even as disposable incomes are squeezed. While Johannesburg has coffee shops in virtually all shopping malls and a wide choice in most well-to-do suburbs, Starbucks brings a range of products that are less common in South Africa.
The Starbucks franchise itself has been amazing. From what I've seen in the US to what they've brought to South Africa, it's truly a nice experience, and the variety that they've brought to South Africa is also nice too.
Taste Holdings reckons South Africa can support as many as 150 Starbucks stores and has opened a second in the New Mall of Africa, one of the largest in Africa's most advanced economy.
I think it would be foolish to not acknowledge the fact that economically our consumers are under pressure, and similarly that we're not forecast for the type of growth that we probably need in this country. Notwithstanding that, though, I think it does probably create the right opportunity to offer customers a more complete experience, it's not just based on selling a product.
At first sight, the rush to launch international fast food chains seems at odds with the prevailing macroeconomic backdrop. Growth is set to be its weakest since 2009. Food prices are on the rise after the worst drought in South Africa on record. But analysts reckon there are a couple of factors which could help the international fast food brand survive, even if the overall retail sector is unlikely to grow anytime soon.
I would prefer cooking and doing all those stuff. But like the thing is, we don't have time as students, you get it? I come back from school, we knock off around 4:15 every day, and then when we get there, we're tired. So the cheapest way is to pass by the Sparkle Police, buy 1 quarter, get there, you will eat pap later at night. Even though we know that we're risking our health and all that, but like at least we exercise for it, you get it? Like in the morning you jog and all that.
But health experts warn that the increase of fast food diets is leading to unhealthy overeating, prompting a spike in diabetes, hypertension and stroke.
I don't think it's only for people with diabetes. I think everybody should be eating healthily, and that's from a young age right up to elderly. We should all be eating healthily to prevent chronic diseases.
Despite expert advice encouraging a healthier diet, the rising consumer culture and urban lifestyles will likely continue to drive the growth in the fast foods over the long term.
So you got to watch what you eat. That's Network Africa today. Thanks for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani.